හරිම සුමුදුයි.
Tonight on First at 9 this Tuesday, the 17th of October 2023. Escalating tensions. Sri Lankan reported dead amidst Israel-Hamas war. Sri Lankans in southern Lebanon advised to register with the embassy in Beirut. Invest Sri Lanka. President Ranil Wickremesinghe calls on the investors in Beijing to perceive Sri Lanka as an investment destination. Vote Port. Former UK Prime Minister highlights the need for correcting misapprehensions associated with the port city.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසින් ලබාගත හැක.
This is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and a warm welcome to today's edition of AdaDerana's English News First at 9. I'm Jonathan Benedict. Let's take a look at our news for the day, starting with our top story. President Ranil Wickremesinghe, who is currently in Beijing to participate in the third Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation, attended an investment, trade and tourism forum today. The forum is focused on fostering future business opportunities for countries. Given the nature of the audience, President Wickremesinghe has extended an invitation to Chinese entrepreneurs to view Sri Lanka as a potential strategic hub for future utility. President Ranil Wickremesinghe is currently in Beijing on an official visit to participate in the third Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation. Representatives of 130 countries and 30 global organizations are currently participating in the forum themed High-Quality Belt and Road Cooperation Together for Common Development and Prosperity. During the visit, President Ranil Wickremesinghe attended an investment, trade and tourism forum hosted at the Sri Lankan embassy in Beijing yesterday, with a focus on fostering future business opportunities. The President extended an invitation to Chinese entrepreneurs who attended the forum, encouraging them to view Sri Lanka as a strategic hub for emerging green and digital economic ventures. In a statement by the President's Media Centre, addressing the Chinese business community, President Wickremesinghe underscored Sri Lanka's geographic advantage, positioning it as a gateway to Western markets within the broader Asian region. The President has also expressed the country's desire to engage amicably with global economic leaders in the future. In another development, President Wickremesinghe has met with Indonesian President Joko Widodo in Beijing today. During the meeting, the President underscored the need to enhance the political, economic and cultural ties between both countries by reinforcing the Indian Ocean's identity. During the meeting, the two leaders engaged in extensive discussions on further strengthening political, cultural and economic ties between both nations. Further, they deliberated the implications of the economic crisis and the palm oil ban on the trade activities connecting the two nations. The Indonesian president further expressed the timeliness of working towards a free trade agreement with Sri Lanka as well. President Ranil Wickremesinghe also met Pakistani Prime Minister Anwar ul Haq Khakar today in Beijing. Both leaders stressed the importance of addressing the challenges of fostering a unified society based on shared humanity. Subsequently, President Ranil Wickremesinghe and Prime Minister Anwar ul Haq Khakar engaged in an extensive discourse concerning the economic crises that affected both countries. During the discussion, a consensus was reached to issue a joint statement reflecting their common stance on the critical developments unfolding in the Gaza Strip. President Wickremesinghe also visited Huawei's Research and Development Center in China today. During the visit, he emphasized the crucial role of both the Chinese government and Huawei in supporting Sri Lanka's digital education system and green energy production. He further highlighted the importance of empowering citizens with digital technology, which is linked to the future. Additionally, an agreement was signed during his visit formalizing Huawei's support for the digitization of Sri Lankan schools. During the meeting, the deputy chairman of Huawei in China, Simon Ling, announced his company's readiness to support an annual study program aimed at nurturing the resurgence of software and hardware engineers in Sri Lanka, and that Huawei has already initiated collaborations with several Sri Lankan universities, not only in academic assistance but also in providing technology and infrastructure. President Ranil Wickremesinghe held discussions with the heads of a number of leading entrepreneurial organizations, including the China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation. Former British Prime Minister David Cameron says that it is important to correct the misapprehension shrouding the Colombo port city as an initial step towards attracting much-needed foreign direct investment to the country. Joining a promotional program held in Dubai on development opportunities within the Colombo port city, he further underscored the recommendations by the International Monetary Fund that the port city is a fruitful investment opportunity. During an invitee-only meeting held recently in Dubai, former British Prime Minister David Cameron joined in on the discussion themed "Now is the time to invest in the port city Colombo, Sri Lanka."
But I think
One of the things we can do today is sort of correct some misapprehensions about it. I mean, when you read the press about it, you'd think the whole thing was owned by China, run by China, governed by China, and the Sri Lankans had made a terrible mistake. But when you actually look at the facts, the fact is it is owned by Sri Lanka. It will be governed by rules made by Sri Lankans. Yes, the Chinese have invested, and the port reclamation was absolutely essential. But it's now for others to invest alongside that and try and make a success of this. The rules are being set by a Sri Lankan authority.
Yes.
Not being set by someone else. And this is still the sovereign territory of Sri Lanka. The Chinese company has a lease on a part of it, but that repairs fully back to Sri Lanka. I think trying to make sure you are an attractive choice is a good move. And, you know, the PricewaterhouseCoopers study shows this could create over 200,000 jobs. It could make a substantial... And the IMF, while there's some skepticism in their report, it does say this will be a good opportunity for businesses to invest in Sri Lanka. And I think it's a very good, as I say, to be here and also this evening in Dubai to talk about the opportunities for people to invest in it. And as you and I hope that this will be part of the ongoing Sri Lankan success story after what has been a very, very difficult decade.
The Sri Lankan national who was reported missing in Israel after Hamas launched an attack on Israelis in Israel and took many hostage was confirmed dead by Israeli authorities. According to Sri Lankan ambassador in Israel, Nimal Bandara, her remains are expected to be received by the Sri Lankan embassy within the next 2 days. Meanwhile, the Sri Lankan embassy in Beirut confirmed that a Sri Lankan woman is among several people trapped under rubble after the collapse of a residential building in Lebanon following the violence. Taking Israel's defensive counterattacks to the border towns in Lebanon into account, Sri Lankans working in southern Lebanon have been advised to immediately register themselves with the Embassy of Sri Lanka in Beirut. Today marks the 11th day since Hamas militants launched a brutal air and ground offensive on Israel, which has already claimed the lives of at least 1,300 Israelis. Amongst the numbered dead are foreign nationals from the deadly attacks launched by Hamas. In some tragic news, it was confirmed this afternoon that a Sri Lankan woman who was missing amidst these tensions was reported dead.
Today, we received a very sad news from Interpol division of the Israel police, and they confirmed that the Sri Lankan lady, who we suspected as a missing person due to last 7th of October attack conducted by the Hamas group in the southern Israel, close to the Gaza border. Her name is Anula Ratnayaka Jayatilaka from Kalaniya area. She came here before 10 years and worked in one family during her whole tenure in Israel. And due to the attack conducted by Hamas, the family members informed us as taken by them, and therefore we were waiting the reply either from the Red Cross Society or Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Israel. None of them didn't confirm any detail to us. Today, the Interpol office communicated with us and confirmed her death, and they will hand over her body within 2 days to the Sri Lanka embassy. Also, one other person missing, Yatavara Bandara, 44 years old Sri Lankan. And still, we are trying to communicate with the Red Cross and for the other relevant authority when we pass this message to the representative office in Ramallah to get results through the Hamas organization, because the senior officials of the political bureau of Hamas, they mentioned that they are ready to share the name of the people who was taken by them during this attack. We are waiting those replies, I think not only for Sri Lanka. According to the Foreign Ministry information, there are 36 countries involved for this one, over 300 foreign people still missing.
The ambassador also said that 17 Sri Lankans living in northern Gaza are reportedly making a break towards the southern part of the Palestinian enclave after the Israeli military ordered the evacuation of approximately 1 million Gazans from the north to head south. In a situation where Israel has vowed to destroy Hamas, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reaffirmed his government's stance to Russian President Vladimir Putin. During a phone call, the Israeli Prime Minister said to the Russian President that his government won't stop until it destroys Hamas's military and governmental capabilities. According to the Kremlin, Russian President Vladimir Putin told Netanyahu that Russia is ready to help end the conflict peacefully by diplomatic means. In New York, meanwhile, the United Nations Security Council rejected a Russian resolution calling for a humanitarian ceasefire of the war between Israel and Hamas, due to the draft being unable to secure the required minimum number of votes to be passed. The resolution received 5 votes in favor, 4 against, and 6 abstentions, with the United States, the United Kingdom, and France voting against it due to the resolution's failure to condemn Hamas for its attacks on Israel. The draft would have needed 9 votes in favor to proceed. Justifying the vote of the US envoy Linda Thomas Greenfield said that Russia is giving cover to a terrorist group that brutalizes innocent civilians by failing to condemn Hamas. Meanwhile, Israeli airstrikes on Gaza continue. According to Palestinian officials, nearly 3,000 people have been killed in Israeli airstrikes since Hamas's attack on the 7th of October. Israel Defense Forces said that Israel is concerned about the humanitarian situation in Gaza, but for now, there is no ceasefire and that the Rafah crossing into Gaza from Egypt remains closed. IDF spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Richard Hecht said that there had been further incoming fire on Tuesday across the border from Lebanon, which includes an anti-tank missile which caused injuries. In response to fire from Lebanon, Israel shelled Lebanese border towns, injuring several people. According to foreign media, Israeli shelling on areas along the Blue Line, the demarcation line between Lebanon, Israel and the Golan Heights, in the western part of the country, continued past midnight. Consequently, Sri Lankans working in southern Lebanon have been advised to immediately register themselves with the Embassy of Sri Lanka in Beirut. Accordingly, they can contact 00961 70 386 754 and 00961 719 60810 or send an email to slemb.beirut@mfa.gov.lk to provide their details. Meanwhile, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency said that Israeli airstrikes had continued in Khan Yunis and other southern areas of the enclave. The agency said that an estimated 1 million people have been displaced across the Gaza Strip, with nearly 400,000 seeking shelter in UNRWA facilities. Amidst the escalating tensions in Israel, US President Joe Biden is expected to make an extraordinary wartime visit to Israel this week, as he seeks to demonstrate staunch support for the country as it works to eliminate Hamas, while also pressing for ways to ease humanitarian suffering in Gaza. It was further reported that US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has ordered that roughly 2,000 troops prepare for a potential deployment to Israel to help with tasks such as medical and logistics support. Meanwhile, in Parliament today, opposition leader Sajid Premadasa requested Speaker of Parliament Mahinda Yapa Abeyewardene to allow his party to name a suitable candidate as the proposed chairman of the new Parliamentary Select Committee that will be appointed to probe the Channel 4 Easter Sunday attacks expose. Former President Maithripala Sirisena concurrently made a request to the Speaker that members who have a prima facie agenda against him be not appointed and keep the nomination process to members and not to that of political parties. Ali Zahir Maulana was sworn in as Member of Parliament before Speaker Mahinda Yapa Abeyewardene today as the replacement of the seat that became vacant following the removal of Nazir Ahmed. Nazir Ahmed lost his parliamentary seat after the Supreme Court upheld the decision of the Sri Lankan Muslim Congress to expel him from the party. Meanwhile, SLPP parliamentarian Pradeep Undugoda presented a proposal to appoint a special parliamentary committee to investigate the Channel 4 expose.
ප්‍රදීප් උදුගොඩ බන්තුමා ගෙනාපු යෝජනා මම ස්ථිර කරනවා. ජාතික කතෝලික කමිටුව බොහොම පැහැදිලිව කියනවා මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තු කාරක සභාව පිළිබඳව එහි අපක්ෂපාතීත්වය පිළිබඳව එහි අවංක භාවය පිළිබඳව කිසිම විශ්වාසයක් නැtei කියන කාරණාව ඉදිරිපත් කරමින් මම ඔබතුමාට යෝජනාවක් කරනවා. මේ තේරීම් කාරක සභාව සාර්ථක තේරීම් කාරක සභාවක් කරන්නට නම් පළමුවෙන්ම මේකේ සභාපතිත්වයේ නම් කිරීම අපිට වාර දෙන්න. දෙවෙනි කාරණාව සමව සංයුතිය ඇති කරන්න ඔය යෝජනා කරන කමිටුවේ එසේ නොවන්නේ නම් අපිට මේකට සහභාගී වන්නට හැකියාවක් නැහැ.
විපක්ෂ නායකතුමා දරපු මතයම තමයි මම දරන්නේ. කාදිනල් උන්නාන්සේ දරපු මතයම නෙවෙයි. මීට කලින් පාස්කු ප්‍රහාරය පිළිබඳව තේරීම් කාරක සභාවක් පච්චිරුවා. ඒකට පච්චිරුවේ මගේ වෛරකාරයෝ තමයි පච්චිරුවේ. ඒ කාලේ ආණ්ඩුව තුල තිබුණු අභ්‍යන්තර ගැටුම් නිසා වෛරයෙන් පලිගන්නා තේරීම් කාරක සභාවක් බවට පත් වුණා. ඒක නිසා කතානායකතුමා පත් කරන්න මේකේ සභාපතිවරයා සහ මන්ත්‍රීවරු සුදුසු අය කවුද කියලා මේක පත් කරන්න එක එක පක්ෂවලට දෙන්න එපා. විශේෂයෙන්ම පෞද්ගලිකව මම පිළිබඳව දැඩි වෛරයෙන් ක්‍රෝධයෙන් ද්වේෂයෙන් කතා කරන වැඩ කරන කීප දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා.
මම ඉන්නෙත් මම අනුගමනය කරන්නෙත් National Catholic Committee for Justice to Easter Sunday Attack Victims. ඒ කමිටුවේ ප්‍රධානියා හැටියට කටයුතු කරන්නේ අතිගරු කාඩිනල් හිමිපාණන්. ප්‍රමුඛ බිෂප්ස් කොන්ෆරන්ස් එකේ සියලු දෙනා සහ මේ රටේ කතෝලික පියතුමන්ලා. මම ඉන්නේ ඒ ස්ථාවරයේ කියන එක මම පැහැදිලි කරන්න කැමතියි.
පසුගිය වර මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව පත් කරපු තේරීම් කාරක සභාව ගැන. ඒකේ සමාජිකයෙක් වශයෙන් මම දිගටම වැඩ කරා. එතුමා කිව්වා එතුමාගේ වෛරක්කාරයෝ කියලා පත් කරේ. දැන් මම දන්නේ නැහැ කොහොමද එතුමාගේ වෛරක්කාරයෙක් උනේ කොහොමද කියලා. එම්ම තේරීම් කාරක සභාවේ අපි ගත්ත සියලුම තීන්දුව වාර්තා
වාර්තාවේ නිගමන තියුණේ ඒ කැඳවපු CID එකේ නිලධාරීන් ඇතුළු අනෙකුත් ආරක්ෂක නිලධාරීන්ගේ දුන්න කට උත්තර අනුව විතරයි. අපේ මත කියලා ප්‍රකාශ කළා නැහැ. ඉතින් ඒ නිසා මම දන්නේ නැහැ මොකටද තවත් තේරීම් කාරක සභාවක් කියලා ගරු කතානායකතුමා මතක තියාගන්න මෙවැනි තේරීම් කාරක සභා හැම විදිහටම බොරුවට ඉදිරිපත් කරොත් මේ තේරීම් කාරක සභා කියන සංකල්පයම විහිළුවක් බවට පත් වෙනවා.
තේරීම් කාරක සභාවක් පත් කිරීම හරහා අනික් පරීක්ෂණ වලට බාධාවක් වෙන්නෙත් නැහැ. වෙච්ච පාස්කු ප්‍රහාරය පිළිබඳව අපි හැමෝම ඉන්න ස්ථාවරය තමයි මේක කරපු මිනිස්සුන්ට නඩුවක් දෙන්න ඕනේ කියලා. ඉතින් මං හිතන්නේ ඒක මේ පරීක්ෂණයට බාධාවක් කියන.
Heavy rainfall was reported in several areas across the island, including Colombo last night, with the highest rainfall of 97.7 millimeters reported from Trincomalee during the past 24 hours. In response, the Met Department confirms that as a result of the influence of the Intertropical Convergence Zone, current rains are expected to continue for the foreseeable future. Several areas, including Colombo and some parts of the southwest of the island, encountered heavy rainfall beginning last night. The highest rainfall of 97.7 millimeters was reported from Trincomalee during the past 24 hours. Several roads in Colombo were reportedly inundated following the heavy rains. Maradana Road in Colombo was flooded following the downpour. Traffic routes in the Kolonava area were hampered this morning as several lowlands in the area were submerged. Due to the heavy rains in Colombo, the sports medicine unit of the Colombo National Hospital was flooded for nearly an hour this morning. Due to the heavy rains, there was heavy traffic congestions in several roads in Batramula this morning, including the New Parliament Road. Traffic on several roads in Bindunuweva in Bandaravela was disrupted as a tree had reportedly fallen onto the road last night. As a result of these rains, the irrigation department said that the water levels of the Mausakala Reservoir and the Castlereagh Dam had reached over 90% of its entire capacity. Further, the flood warnings issued to the Nilvala River Basin has been further extended due to the heavy rains. The irrigation department requested the general public to be aware of possible flooding due to flash rains encountered in urban areas. The National Building Research Organisation issued Level 2 amber warnings to several areas in the Badulla and Ratnapura districts. Level 1 yellow warnings meanwhile were issued to several areas in the Badulla, Gaul, Hambantota, Kandy, Kegaul, Matale, Matara, Nuwara and Ratnapura districts.
With the cessation of the rainfall, the issued red warning was removed and the extended landslide early warning message is as follows. The warning level 2 alert amber warning was issued to Haldamula Division Secretary Badulla District, Kalavana, Kuruvita, Ahliyagoda, Elapatha and Ratnapura Division Secretary Ratnapura District. Warning level 1 watch yellow warning was issued to Bandaravela, Haputhala and Passara Division Secretary Badulla District, Neluwa, Bopepawadala, Palangoda, Baddegama, Niyagama, Goal Folk Cravets, Imaduwa, LPTA, Tawalama, Yakalamulla, Nagoda and Akmimana Division Division Gaul District, Katuana, Beliatta, Valasmulla and Okevela Division Division Hamantura District, Udadumbara, Patadumbara, Tumpane, Pasbaya Korle, Harispattu and Udurura Division Division Kandy District, Aranayaka, Mavanella, Bulat Kopitia, Darnigala, Kegol, Ruanvella, Deyovita and Yatota, Division Division Kegol District, Matale, Raptota and Okwela, Division Division Matale District, Akurasa, Kotapala, Mulatiana, Kirinda Puhulvella, Matara Pograver, Aturlia, Pitabaddara, Tihagoda, Hakmana, Velipitiya, Malimbada, Kamurupiti and Pasgoda Division Division Matra District, Kotmale and Amugamo Division Division Morale District, Opanayaka, Nivitigala, Godakavela, Velikepola, Imbulpe, Kolonna, Ayagama, Palmadulla, Kahavatta, Balangoda and Kiriella Division Division Ratnapura District.
Issuing an amber advisory, the Department of Meteorology stated that severe lightning is likely to occur at several places in the northern, north central, northwestern, eastern, Uva and southern provinces and in the Kandy district. Consequently, the general public is urged to take necessary precautions to minimize damages caused by possible lightning strikes. The Met Department further stated that due to the influence of the intertropical convergence zone, where winds from the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere converge, prevailing rains are expected to further continue.
Intertropical convergence zone, that is where the winds from northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere convergence zone is affecting the weather over the island. Therefore, current rainy condition on the island is expected to continue further. Showers or thunder showers can be expected in the most part of the island from 17th to 20th October. Due to that high intensity rain, that means more than 100 millimeter rain during the short periods also can be possible, especially central, Sabaragamu and southern provinces. And also we can expect some heavy lightning activities during this period. Therefore, general public is kind of requested to take adequate precautions to minimize the damage caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers.
The third Bangladesh Film Festival, which showcased cinematic masterpieces for Bangladeshi cinema, was recently held in Colombo. Speaking at the event, the Bangladesh High Commissioner in Sri Lanka, Tariq Muhammad Ariful Islam, is of the view that such initiatives such as film festivals improve people-to-people connectivity due to cultural similarities existing between Sri Lankans and Bangladeshis. The third Bangladeshi Film Festival was held recently at the Tarangani Theatre at the National Film Corporation in Colombo. Organised by the Bangladesh High Commission in Colombo, the film festival, which was held from the 6th to the 8th of October, showcased cinematic masterpieces of Bangladeshi cinema. Addressing the opening ceremony of the event, Bangladesh High Commissioner in Colombo, Tariq Muhammad Ariful Islam, said that this festival aims to improve connectivity between the people of Bangladesh and Sri Lanka.
Our ultimate goal is to enhance people-to-people connectivity. Each film tells a unique story, addresses social issues, challenging norms and inspiring change. More importantly, they maintain a distinctiveness amid the ubiquitous influence of bigger film industries. In recent years, a new generation of directors have emerged in Bangladesh film industry. They are known for their fresh and creative ideas, unique style and diverse talent of storytelling. They have dared to push boundaries and explore new horizons and techniques of filmmaking.
Later, the Bangladesh High Commissioner in Colombo addressed the media.
This is not only to showcase our rich cinematic heritage, but also to celebrate the cultural similarities between the two countries, because we have so many things in common. So this is basically a celebration of both the countries, of our common and shared culture, history, and artistic expressions.
Welcome back. An event was held in Colombo recently to commemorate the 4,355th anniversary of Korea and the 46th year of diplomatic relations between Korea and Sri Lanka. Interesting information, the nation of Korea was first formed way back in 2333 BC. With that, here's a look at more news across the island in brief. Commemorating the 4,355th anniversary of the establishment of Korea and the 46th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Korea and Sri Lanka, an event hosted by the Korean Embassy led by Korean Ambassador Her Excellency Myeon Lee was recently held in Colombo. Among the dignitaries, Minister of Agriculture Mahinda Amaravira, Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri, Cabinet and State Ministers, Secretaries and Ambassadors who have contributed to the strengthening of bilateral cooperation between the two nations graced the occasion. In other news, the rare birth of sextuplets was reported at the Castle Street Hospital for Women in Colombo by a 37-year-old woman from Ragama. It was reported that all 6 babies are currently being treated and monitored in the neonatal intensive care unit. During a special search operation conducted by Sri Lankan Navy, 1 kilogram of TNT high explosives and 1 feet and 3-inch long safety fuses were recovered in Jaffna this morning. The explosives were kept in naval custody until they were handed over to the respective authorities for further legal proceedings. The Colombo Stock Exchange closed lower today for a second straight day following losses in financial and industrial shares. The CSE All-Share Index closed down 0.69% at 10,647.33 points, while the S&P SL20 settled down 0.89% at 2,973.12 points. John Keel's Holdings plc and Sampath Bank plc were the top losers on the CSE, falling 1.6% and 3.5% respectively. Trading volume rose to 31.5 million shares from 31.1 million shares in the previous session. Equity market turnover fell to 994.2 million rupees from 1.15 billion rupees in the previous session. The capital goods sector was the top contributor to market turnover today, while the diversified financial sector was the second highest contributor. Foreign investors were net buyers, purchasing stocks worth 339.3 million rupees, while domestic investors were net sellers, offloading shares worth 654.9 million rupees. With that, let's have a look at how the rupee fared against other currencies as the day progressed. Sri Lanka's United Motors, an automobile company, said that it has acquired 100% of Dutch Lanka Trailer Manufacturers Limited, a port and road trailers manufacturer. With that, let's take a look at news from the corporate sector for the day. United Motors Lanka has acquired 100% of Dutch Lanka Trailer Manufacturers Limited. The share sale and purchase agreement executed today includes United Motors Lanka PLC's purchase of 100% shareholding in DLT for a total consideration of 700 million rupees. DLT is a Board of Investment registered company established in 1992, specializing in the design, engineering and manufacturing of port and road trailers for domestic and export markets. Fitch Rating has affirmed People's Leasing and Finance's national long-term rating at A- and removed it from its rating watch negative with a stable outlook. Fitch said that the removal of the rating watch negative reflects the agency's view that downside to the rating is less imminent following the completion of the local currency portion of the sovereign's domestic debt optimization, which addresses one element of risk to sector funding and liquidity. In another rating update, Fitch has affirmed Central Finance Company's national long-term rating of A- and removed the rating from rating watch negative with a stable outlook. The agency said Central Finance's national long-term rating reflects its franchise as one of the largest domestic finance and leasing companies in the country with an established operating history, which helps support its overall business profile. The removal of the rating watch negative reflects the agency's view that downside to the rating is less imminent following the completion of the sovereign's domestic debt optimization. That's all the news I have for you. I'm Jonathan Benedict. Good night.